Hey, joining us is former White House press secretary under President Trump, a senior advisor and spokesperson for America First Action PAC, and author of The Briefing, Politics, the Press, and President. Sean Spicer is with us. All right, Sean, first and foremost, your take on President Trump signing this defense authorization bill has John McCain's name on it. He's alluded to John McCain on many occasions when he talked about Obamacare, the revisions or reform not going through. What do you make of all of that?
Well, look, I mean, the bill is named in honor of Senator McCain and recognition of his service to this country. And I think despite the issues and the differences the president may have with Senator McCain, there's no question that Senator McCain has served this country honorably and with dignity. And it's fitting that as he continues to battle the horrible disease that he is, that we can pay tribute to the service and sacrifice that he's made for our country.
Yeah, I think everyone agrees with you there, and I think it's a great sign to see too. It really is. Get rid of some of the vitriol. But having said that, the world got more complicated last week because now we've got this battle with Turkey, and many in the media are saying, hey, the White House may be biting off more than it could chew. Should we be at war with Russia, China, Iran, and Turkey, and our allies all at the same time?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we're at war with any of them. I think the reality is the president is fulfilling the promises that he made, which is to fight for American workers and to do things that will ensure that there's a level playing field for what we have allowed people to have market access to our economy, that we deserve to at least have somewhere close to that kind of parity in many of these other trading partners. With respect to Turkey, I think I would associate myself more with Kevin Hassett's comments earlier that you played, which is that I think there's a bigger issue with how Erdogan is leading Turkey than the direct effect of, say, the tariffs are having.
Well, also there's the Pastor Brunson too. Again, if the question is, if Turkey were to relent and allow him to leave, would America, certainly with the Trump administration, lower those barriers or even remove some of these sanctions?
Well, I think they've made it very clear that there are two separate and distinct issues, right? So you can't then immediately withdraw the tariffs, because I think then you've now shown that there is a quid pro quo going forward with respect to human rights issues and economic issues. So I think they're right to make it very clear that they are two separate and distinct issues. So I don't know that you would see a direct effect right afterwards. I think that wouldn't probably look good diplomatically going forward if they did do that.
Let's speak about the diplomatic angles to this trade battles that we're engaged in, because we know that China, Canada, even the EU, all specifically targeting Trump voters, states that went for Trump, grassroots folks, whether it's bourbon, whether it's jeans, whether it's soybeans. And a lot of people, particularly in the media, saying, hey, the Republicans are going to lose on this. You've got the economic purists, for lack of a better term, that say tariffs never work. We shouldn't have engaged them in the first place. A lot of PR pressure on the White House over this. Do you think the White House, President Trump, are going to stay the course on this if it looks like there's some cracks and that it could start to backfire politically?
Yeah, it's a great question, Charles, because I think that to some degree, as long as we can continue to find out that there's a long-term solution to this, voters and workers are willing to fight the fight, because they get that at some point you either can allow these trading partners to continue to have high barriers to entry into their market, or you've got to stand up to them and show that you're willing to actually put measures in place to stop them. So I think on a short term this works. I'm not sure how long-term sustainable this is, in which I think it's important the president's economic team go out there and continue to engage with these folks to find a solution that lowers the barriers to entry, whether it's tariffs or non-tariff barriers, to some of these trading partners that have easy access to our market.
Are the midterms, is that the dividing line, Sean? Do you need to see some resolution, or at least some signs of resolution before then?
Well, I mean, that's still 2 months away. I think that that's fair. It probably should get resolved sooner rather than later. I mean, I think that the more that they can show a work plan in each one of these areas, that's probably the best. Engaging with them and showing there's talks. Obviously, the sooner, if you're talking purely on a political basis, if we can get these things wrapped up and find a solution prior to the November midterms, I think that really bodes well politically. But in the short term, I think the other option is to show that there is a negotiation ongoing and an attempt to find a long-term solution, as opposed to just continuing to escalate.
Sean, from a messaging point of view, President Trump backing some Harley owners and Harley enthusiasts who now said that they would boycott that company's products for moving production outside this country. You know, I understand where the president's coming from with respect to the Harley-Davidson message that this is because of tariffs. I think they're being very disingenuous there. But is it right for any president, to back the boycotting of an American company?
Well, I think considering that he's doing this to actually support their long-term viability, you know, it's more the opposite. I think the companies need to recognize that they have continued over the years to complain to the U.S. government and to officials that they have an unfair advantage, that they can sell freely in the United States, but they in most cases are facing stiff competition in other countries where products don't face the same tariff barriers that they do. So, I mean, look, here's the president fighting for American companies. I think the companies should recognize what he's doing, why he's doing it, and how it's going to benefit them in the long term.
Yeah, and to your point, by the way, Harley's saying they would not pass cost onto European customers. It may cost $2,200 more, and they'll eat that. And I think that's going to infuriate Americans even more, because the Kansas City plant closing was in the works long before President Trump even took over the White House, and certainly before tariffs became an issue. So, you know, it could be backfiring there. But it is intriguing that the president is so vocal about it, and many people are wondering if that's a right thing for him to do.